Hello, hello, true believers and newcomers alike. Welcome back. How are you? Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well and having a good weekend. If it's not the weekend, well, clearly it took you far too long to watch this video, but all the same, I hope the next weekend treats you well. As ever, I'm your host, Superfly Comics Guy, and boy oh boy do we have a special treat today. We got a double feature, a package deal, the 1-2 punch. That is Daredevil by Brian Michael Bendis Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2. These are among the favorites in my collection, so please join me today as we take a look at the books, the build, the page count, the spines, the covers, and a flip through of some of the contents. If you like this video, leave a like. Or if you're a nerd like me, leave a comment and let's nerd out together. But without further ado, strap on your devil horns or grab your favorite pair of red-tinted glasses. It's time to dive into these books. Alright everybody, so if you have not read this run, I highly recommend it. You are in for a treat. But let's take a look at some of the dust jackets. As far as I know, these are the only two covers available for these books. No variants. In the future, if Marvel decides to do a reprint, I hope they do some variants because there are some really cool covers and art they could use, but I'm still a big fan of this Alex Maleev art. Let's take a look at the spines together. Bit of a test of my dexterity here as I handle two books at once, but I think I can do it. There you go, volume 1 being a little bit thicker. And let's take a look at the back. You got your classic Marvel cover gallery. Volume 1 collecting Daredevil, that's the 1998 series, issues 16 through 19, 26 through 50, and 56 through 60. And then Volume 2 collects Daredevil 61 through 81, a What If issue, and Ultimate Marvel Team-Up number 6 through 8. Both of these books coming in at 100 US, 127 Canadian. I think I picked each of these up for 80 Canadian, so good stuff there. And here we have the two books without their dust jackets. Both wraparound covers, I believe. Very, very nice. Let's take a look at the first one first. Open her up. Show you what that looks like. Very, very nice image. Move on to the second one. Crack her open. And there you go. Wonderful art. I'm a big fan of the art in this book. All right, so let's start taking a look at Volume 1. We got some red bookend pages to start. Of course, what other color are you going to use? Written by Brian Michael Bendis and art by Alex Maleev. For the most part, these first few issues are actually done by David Mack, who's got this fantastic painted art style. Really, really like his stuff. Really cool. But real quick, if you're not familiar with Daredevil or Matt Murdock, at a young age, Matt was blinded in a traffic accident where a bunch of radioactive waste got into his eyes, but that augmented all of his other senses to superhuman levels. He was trained by an old man named Stick, and he became one of the most proficient hand-to-hand combatants in the Marvel Universe. By day, he's a lawyer, but when the law is not enough, he patrols the streets as Daredevil. Makes me very, very happy to see Daredevil's popularity rising with recent shows and movies. Yeah, this is a really, really good starting point to read the character, especially if you're a fan of the show, the dark, gritty take. If you have no familiarity with Daredevil, I'd recommend starting with the Frank Miller run. That's kind of where the character as we know him today truly, he got his dark, gritty roots. But Bendis here, he took that and elevated it to a whole new level. Daredevil in this entire run, he gets put through the mental and emotional ringer. It's fascinating. I think he's one of those characters that shines his brightest when he's at his lowest. Just some fantastic artwork by Alex Maleev. Really captures that dark, gritty, dirty, grimy feel of the city. And this very much set the tone for the runs that followed this. This is a page turner. You got lots of guest appearances from Black Widow, Electro, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Bullseye, Typhoid Mary, Kingpin. Great place to start really getting yourself more familiar with the Daredevil universe. Yeah, if you're a fan of the Netflix show, this very much feels in a lot of ways like a continuation of that. And very famously, the actor who plays Daredevil, Charlie Cox, he said this run was one of his key inspirations and one of the books that he keeps coming back to the most often. And how can you talk about this series without talking about the Kingpin? Man, Bendis really nails the voice for Kingpin. He's just manipulative, evil, scummy, but brilliant villain. Lots of inspiration for conflicts that happened in the Netflix show. And taking a look at volume 2 now as well. The reason why I'm doing 2 at once is because, like I said before, this is a package deal. There's no way, absolutely no way, you should read 2 before 1. And once you read 1, you're going to want to read 2 anyway. This is a fantastic series. I mean, you really get to get inside the head of Matt Murdock, this tortured soul, as he's trying to overcome all this trauma that life is throwing at him. Just really, really good character writing all throughout this series. It's not just a mindless action book. It's got heart. You know, one of the things that famously Stan Lee said was that Marvel puts the human in superhuman. And that's something I think Bendis does very, very well in his writing. We get to learn about Matt Murdock, grow with him, care about him, so that by the time he does put on the costume, we care about him that much more, and he's getting into these crazy super conflicts. It's really, really well done. There's this wonderful character, Mila, in this run, who is a romantic interest for Matt, but his life as Daredevil just keeps getting in the way, and life is throwing him curveballs and shooting him in the foot. You so badly want to see him just be happy, but it seems like he just can't get a chance. Like I said, he takes a beating in this book, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It's fascinating to watch him try to navigate all of that. And just look at some of these wonderfully done covers. I mean, if I could show them all in one video, I would, because they are just so gripping and interestingly drawn. Yeah, Bendis and Malieve were definitely a powerhouse team. They later reunited to do a run on Moon Knight as well, but that's not the topic of this video. Look at this. Gorgeous art. Just really captures that somber, gritty atmosphere that this entire run is going for. Alright, so let's start taking a look at some of the extras in this book, starting with volume 1. We got some outlines and scripts here. There's actually a decent amount of extras. Some sketches. Yeah, there you go. Some layouts by David Mack. Lots of cool work. Some cover sketches. I love this cover, by the way. There's Elektra. Daredevil's yellow and red costume, the classic. And afterward, more layouts by Alex Malieve. Getting quite a bit of extras. This is a fantastic bit that Bendis is talking about here. There's an issue in here where there's a fight between Daredevil and Kingpin. And after like every big hit in the fight, it switches artists. So it starts off with Alex Malieve, goes to Gene Colan, Lee Weeks. These are all legacy artists who have worked on Daredevil in the past, and they all guest appeared in this issue just to, you know, convey this fight. And it was just such a joy to read. Worth getting this book just for that scene alone, honestly, in my opinion. Let's take a look at some of the extras in volume 2. And here we are with the extras for volume 2. Similar idea here, outlines, sketches, character designs, covers, very cool stuff. I'm a sucker for all this bonus content that Marvel tends to throw in. Very, very cool. But there we go. All right, so taking a quick look at the build of these books, very, very good. Marvel quality. This volume 1 here is 848 pages, and it's got a nice big eye there. So you're not getting any gutter loss. Here's a spread page just to show that even more. No issues. Once again, closer to the beginning, and that eye is lifting up nicely. And the same is true for volume 2 as well, which is a little smaller at 656 pages. So you don't need as big of an eye, but you still got a pretty nice one, so you're not losing any art. As for the page quality, it's pretty decent. It's not as thick as the pages of a DC omnibus, for example, but it's not as thin as some of the recent Marvel omnibuses, so you're good. You're not getting any color bleed from the other side of the paper. Good stuff. All right, so wrapping up the review here. If you're a fan of the Daredevil Netflix show, or you're kind of familiar with the character, but want to start reading him, you owe it to yourself to pick this book up. Just a grounded, gritty crime drama with a focus on top-tier, character-driven storytelling. So good. If you have no familiarity at all with Daredevil, then I recommend you start with the Frank Miller run from the 80s, and then jump into this book. But both are fantastic. I haven't read the current ongoing Zdarsky run. I hear that one's amazing too. But yeah, this is amazing. If you haven't read it yet, what are you still doing here listening to me? Just go get it. I believe volume 2 is still in print, but it's running low. Volume 1 you're going to have a tough time finding. So if you can still find one, find copies of these, please do. You will not regret it. All right, so that'll do it for my review of the Daredevil by Brian Michael Bendis Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2. Leave a like if you like this. Let me know what you thought about this run, or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to catch you guys in another video real soon. Have yourself a great day. I've been Superfly Comics Guy, and until next time, keep reading. Bye, guys.